Hello, Bard students. In this video, I'm going to talk to you what I had hoped to talk to you about in the afternoon before there was this miscommunication about when you were supposed to return. So we're switching gears and let's talk about education now. So this slideshow is kind of set up as a like a guided free writing. So I'm going to go through the first few slides and then I will let you go through the rest by yourself. So the main part that I want to cover right now is to debrief the CCE activity and get you ready for tomorrow. But then I want you to continue watching the other slides and doing the free writings associated with it, and then we'll talk tomorrow afternoon. Okay? So spend a few minutes, like pause this slideshow, and then spend a few minutes and write about anything related to your experience with the CCE fellow. It could be what you did in the activity. It could be about what you learned about the demographics of Hyde Park. The demographic conversation we had with Amelia, if you were in Rose, we being the professors, was like 2 hours long. And I think she gave the most thorough uh, explanation this afternoon, so I hope that the people who were in her room will lead this when we're in the conversation next afternoon. So let's just cover some important things first. This page here, you could expand that, but I don't have an electronic copy of it, so bear with me. I'm going to actually read it to you. It's important to me that you read this paper. These are the rules and regs for tomorrow. To indicate to me that you have watched this video, please make a comment in my YouTube channel afterwards so I know who watched it. Okay? So, reading the paper right now. How to be an agent of authentic wonder. Attendance on the day of engagement is mandatory. Your role is to model how to approach a question you do not yet know the answer to, using the liberal arts model by asking questions and encouraging students to actively participate in the activities. The children engaged in the day will look to you for their cues on how to behave. Modeling curiosity, engagement, and excitement will make a huge impact and model for them what it means to be a college student. We do not expect you to be the expert. Instead, we ask that you set the tone, approaching the questions presented in the activity with excitement. Bard first years work collaboratively on a problem using a team-based approach and act as facilitators for small group work with visiting students. When we visit local schools, we are guests and we should act accordingly. Our school partners have different rules of conduct. It is our responsibility to honor those rules and create a safe, welcoming, and age-appropriate environment. How students behave during the sessions impacts Bard's long-term relationships with our school partners. So, the things that you should do on the left side here. Politely follow any and all rules and requests given by school staff and teachers. Dress professionally and in a manner appropriate to working with children. Introduce yourself and your major. It's a good way to get kids talking about things they like in school. Many children have not met a college student before and are interested in college life. We want to encourage kids to think positively about college in an age-appropriate way. Encourage kids' natural sense of curiosity. We want to inspire science and fun. If you do not have the answers to the questions asked by the students, ask your outreach leader. Remember that you are the adults in this setting. Set a good example. Enjoy the activity and ask deeper questions of yourself and of the student. Strategize a way to engage a child that may seem disconnected. Look to other members of your team for help. Here's the do not list on the right side. Do not engage in anything that could be construed as sexual touching or behavior. This includes hugs. Basically, don't touch the students. You could give them a high five, maybe. But otherwise, keep your hands off of their body, even if you think you are imparting a compassionate emotion. You never know how it's going to be construed. Use cell phones or take out your cell phone and any other electronic device during sessions. I don't want to see the cell phone unless you need to text me about something. Do not consume alcohol or drugs, including cigarettes. Do not possess alcohol or drugs. Do not be in the presence of alcohol or drugs or condone the use of alcohol and drugs in your conversations. Do not smoke on school grounds. Do not swear in front of the children, teachers, or staff. Do not leave with a student. Do not be alone in a room with a student. Do not wear hats or hoods inside. Do not wear clothing with references to sexual content and/or drugs and alcohol. The thing that you need to understand is that your personal identity tomorrow when you're facing these students is not important. You're all dressing appropriately in class, so I assume you will just dress appropriately when you come tomorrow. I'm not worried about this at all. But if something went wrong, even if it seemed very minor, it could really blow up in our faces. So just remember that you're a working professional in my citizen science course, and I just expect you to behave exactly how you've been behaving with me. So now we're going to look at these websites that are listed on this slide here. Right here. When Amelia came and gave a talk to the professor, she talked for like 2 hours. So I'm not going to drill down that far, but I'm going to explain to you the things that stuck out in my mind, okay? So let's look first here at the New York State education data. Here's the website. So I went to the science results. Now I want you to be thinking about the data itself, the quality of the data, and what we're seeing as a trend over time in science. Okay, so in 4th grade, firstly, let's look at this axis because for some reason it switches. So this says 0%, 50%, 100%. Okay, so this third line in this graph is 100%. So in 4th grade, the district students, they are doing not quite as well as the state students, but overall, we can see that the majority of students, somewhere 85 to 88% of them, these students are receiving the highest score possible on the exam, and almost no one is receiving the lowest score possible, okay? And this middle range, we're just seeing that a steady curve here, okay? But then when we look at 8th grade, we see something very different. Firstly, note that the axis is different. So you have 0, 20, 40, and 60%. The other graph went up to 100%, right? So that's a little misleading if you're looking at it really quickly. But now we're seeing a different picture altogether, okay? Rather than having that steady curve with the majority of students getting 3s, 4s, and 5s, here we see a large percentage, 30 and 50, a total of 82% here, receiving these scores. And the proficiency score has gone way down. Now we only have like half of the students at proficiency. So that's a concern to me. That tells me that over the life of elementary school and middle school, these students are not growing in science as much as they could. So then I want to know why, okay? So we were told, that there's a mixed economic status among the students we will see tomorrow. But this was the graph that really just blew my mind. I just can't even wrap my mind around it. Okay? So what I'm seeing here, notice the axis again, it's not 100 at the top. The largest group of people who are living in poverty in Hyde Park are middle and high school students. Okay, and then these folks here, these are like working class age people. These are young children, and these are retired people. Okay, so I am not sure, I'm trying to puzzle it out in my mind, but how can there be vastly more poverty-stricken middle school and high school students than adults? Okay, we are not looking at the population structure. That might have something to do with it, like there are just more middle school and high school students. But this is of a great concern to me. And what Amelia told us was that there are many students at Hyde Park who are homeless. The only meals that they get during the day are their free lunch and free breakfast at school. She also told us that the Hyde Park School District has been in legal trouble because compared to the state average, they disproportionately expel Black students with disabilities. Okay, so that tells me that the teachers would rather have the nuisance of these troubled students outside of their classroom. It also tells me that these students are completely unaccounted for. If they can't have the roof over their head from 8 to 3 in the day and they can't get those 2 meals, then they might not be eating at all. So we're dealing with issues of housing and food insecurities. So when you are facing these students, I want you to be really cognizant of this. Of course, you're not going to ask them or make any colored comments about their particular status, but I want you to appreciate and put your thinking caps on. Observe what's going on. What are you seeing? How are the students behaving? We will see students from other schools that don't have these social and economic concerns, and then we can compare their behaviors, their understanding, etc. But right now, I just want you to appreciate that what these students need is your professional attention. They want to look up to you. Be their mentors. Show them that they too could go to college. But also be really aware of the fact that they might be homeless and they might not eat during the day and they might be disenfranchised at school just from discrimination. So these are some big concerns that I hope that you're looking at. Let's go back to the slide deck here. So after this page, let's go into the warm-up that I wanted to give you to start talking and teaching you about education theory. So there are a series of free writes here. I am not going to go through them right now. I want you to honor my request to, I want you to pause the video, do the free write, then go to the next slide, or pause the presentation, do the free write, go to the next slide. So we can honor that cadence that we have in class where we write and discuss, write, discuss, reflect, etc. And we'll pick up this in the classroom. So all the questions have to do with learning. All right, let's go to this slide here, second to last. This is reiterated in the email I sent you earlier, but we already have a lot of homework for tomorrow, so I'm going to stop talking and stop asking you to write free writes without my guidance, but be prepared for a discussion based on these prefacing questions. I have assigned to you the first 2 chapters of the book due tomorrow afternoon. If you really want, you are welcome to submit a typed response to those book journals. People have come to me and asked me if they could type those, and I said yes. So, hey, if you want to, go ahead. Now, complete the last few free writes in the slide deck, and those were the ones where you are asked to revisit the Hudson advisory tables, and that was slide 30. And watch my video and do the free writes about education. Keep in mind that like I had hoped to see you in class again for another hour, so my expectation is that you'll spend at least an hour working on your own time. Okay, I'll see you at 7:30, and if you need anything at all or you're confused, text me. Thanks.